Edward's ally. The four new engines have been brought on trial. Three with names, one with just a number. The three with names were Eagle, Alfred, who was better known as 98462, and Raven was also better as 4563, and one's number was 87546. Alfred and 87546 had an attitude and thought they were too modern to pull freight trains, while Raven and Eagle did whatever job they were assigned without fuss. However, Raven was not like most of the engines. She never said anything to anyone, and her job with a frown on her face. All the engines thought nothing of this. They were thankful that she wasn't rude like Alfred and 87546. All that is, except for an engine. Even Thomas was shunting trains in the yard. One night, after his shunting duties, Thomas felt exhausted as he backed out into the shed. "You know, 87546, Alfred said, "all these engines are useless in their own way. But us, we are important express engines. We are too important to shunt like Thomas or Edward over there. And do I have to get started about my girl, Raven? She never even talks to any of us." Thomas was about to speak up, but the old engine gave him a look. Edward wanted to help Raven as well, but he didn't know how to know. However, he soon got his chance earlier than expected. The next morning, a long freight train needed to go to the end of the line, and Gordon, Henry, 87546, and Alfred refused to move. So Sir Topham Hatt, the man in charge of all the engines on the island of Sodor, told Eagle and Raven to take it. The two engines made a good time, and the journey went quite smoothly. When they got into the big station at the end of the line, it was already noon, so they decided to sleep at the sheds on the other railway. All was silent until Edward started to talk. "What a nice run, will you agree?" asked Edward. Raven said nothing. "Well, at least we can get a rest now." Edward smiled again. Raven kept saying nothing. Edward sighed. "Raven, why wouldn't you talk to us? Me, Thomas, Henry, Gordon, and Eagle have another engine to talk to at night." Raven glanced at Edward and looked away again. "Because I thought you would like the other engines on my old line," she stammered. Edward was taken back. He wasn't expecting Raven to respond so quickly. "On my old line, the engines would think I was unreliable. I would do most of the goods work, since they all thought freight trains were for engines who had no purpose. They would always make fun of me, never let me sleep in the sheds, and hiss at me every chance they got. And the worst part was that Alfred was the main face of it all. We used to work on the same railway, and he was a very different engine for the first couple of days. He would do any job they wanted, and would always keep me company when the others were rude to me. but their attitude soon went to his smallpox, and he was soon the main face of all the drama I had back then. And I don't know if I should trust anyone because I don't want the same thing to happen again. This time, Edward said nothing. I'm sorry to hear that, Edward started. I will never do anything like that. Same as me, Thomas, and Eagle. We know how it feels to be looked down upon, so we would never do the same thing to you. Thank you, Edward, started Raven. It means a lot that you would say, friends, the old engine asked. I don't know if I'm ready for that just yet, said Raven. What about allies? Is that okay? I think it is perfect, chuckled Edward. But we better get back to the station for our other jobs. Come along. Edward and Raven puffed off, and their journey back to Sodor was very quiet. But Edward swore that he saw his new ally smile.